Brett Velicovich, national security analyst and Fox News contributor, has been to Ukraine many times since the war began and was with the U.S. military in Iraq and Afghanistan. Brett, good to have you here. What's your takeaway from what you heard? What jumped out at you from this news conference that just ended moments ago?
Well, for me, this $50 billion from the G7, it's a historic agreement. It intensifies pressure on Russia, and the move sets a precedent for how international law can work to address state-sponsored aggression coming from Russia. And I just returned from another trip to Ukraine this week, and it's clear from my conversations on the ground that those soldiers in the trenches, they need international support more than ever. And we as Americans are supposed to be the beacon of that international support in defending democracy. And other countries, they tend to follow our lead, which is exactly why we can't just walk away from them. You know, the Ukrainians, they're significantly hurting for manpower, materials, money to really effectively defend their country. And they've got this underlying fear of it all going away. I get asked this question a lot, as I'm sure many other Americans there do. Are we going to leave them? Are we going to leave them like we did in Afghanistan? And you can take that from, you know, our previous actions and having these long-term consequences with our allies strategically of what we did there in Afghanistan. Whether you're a diplomat or a businessman or a humanitarian in Ukraine, these are the types of questions that Ukrainian leaders ask Americans. So this continued commitment to them is important. The billions in funds, they're going to come from interest accumulating from frozen Russian assets. That's key. You know, they're getting about $3 billion in interest alone, but they're not allowed to release these assets fully yet. So there's still some more work to do there. But it does mark a significant, you know, move in international financial sanctions and support from Ukraine. And I've never really felt that the previous sanctions against Russia have been working strategically. I mean, our leadership, they need to face that reality, and they've got to come up with more creative solutions like this to supply the Ukrainians. By my estimates, we have over 16,000 sanctions on Russian individuals and entities currently in place. That's nearly 6 times the amount compared to before the full-scale war began. But yet Russian banks, their military-industrial complex, they've adapted. They've developed workarounds to evade it.
Absolutely.
So by reallocating these Russian assets, it really sends a strong message of deterrence and the consequences of violating these laws.
I want to put a couple maps up for everybody at home. The first one is June of 2023, and the next one is the current map. This is May of 2024. These are from the Institute of the Study of War. Not a lot of movement between these two. The red shows the section that the Russian offensive took over, and there's not a lot of movement. So if President Biden said just recently, Brett, that the goal is to get Russia completely out of Ukraine. And when I asked John Kirby about that, he said, yes, that means Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, all of it out of Ukraine. So that's what victory looks like. How long, how far away are we from that? And are we giving them the weapons that they need to achieve that in a timely manner or a more timely manner, which would be great? There's a lot of people dying in this war.
You know, it's difficult to say. I think this war is going to unfortunately last for quite some time. Ukraine has been extremely resilient. That's a fact. I mean, the Ukrainian people are fighting democracy for us. And so we need to do whatever we can to support them. We need to provide them with more weapons. We need to provide them with more capabilities and support this long-term regional stability and security. And I think this financial support does that. It also potentially helps create these more diplomatic efforts to start and look for some peaceful resolutions to this conflict, encouraging Russia basically to maybe engage in some meaningful negotiations to hopefully stop this war.
We will see. Putin seems pretty determined.